Charles Oliveira's really good, man.
Yeah.
Really good. For him to starch him like that with essentially one punch it's extraordinary.
But with me coming up, he was like, I don't have to take this risk. I'm gonna move up to the 170. I'm gonna try to get another belt, and that's all, because he knows that I'm dangerous. He knows that I'm gonna put him to sleep. Even Khabib. The only reason they don't want me to fight against him, because they...
Tensions between Ilia Topuria and Islam Makhachev are heating up fast. Just hours ago, they had a real altercation at the airport, and Joe Rogan isn't holding back anymore. He's called it exactly what it is. This comes right after a shocking video went viral. Ilia was seen beating up 3 of Islam's supporters. According to Rogan, it's time. No more delays. This needs to be settled in the cage. On his podcast, he made it clear. The UFC needs to book this fight now. Both fighters are fired up. Rogan said, "You can't let this one pass. Topuria is out here swinging at people just for backing Islam. The fight has to happen now, not later."
Around. I think in the division, stylistically, I mean, I honestly, I see Islam just like dominating all these guys. Obviously, Justin always has that knockout chance. He always has that power. And then Arman, that first fight was so...
And that wasn't even the start. Less than 24 hours before the airport scene, another clip surfaced. It showed Topuria hitting 3 guys during a private Nelk Boys stream. The only thing they did wrong? Saying they liked Islam. One of them even made a joke about Islam being like Khabib. Topuria didn't laugh. He told them to repeat it. Then he stood up and started throwing punches. The first guy got hit clean. The second tried to block but got dropped. The third guy stepped back, but even he got caught on the jaw. The stream ended immediately. The Nelk team later apologized. They said they didn't expect Ilia to go off like that.
That was like, come on, you're good.
I'm like scared to hit him because I know he's gonna hit him hard.
Now the drama is getting bigger. Islam himself hasn't spoken publicly yet, but his teammate Zubaira Tukugov did. He posted on Instagram, "Topuria thinks he's a champ because he hit kids." Then Arman Sarukian added to the fire. He tweeted, "El Matador, more like El Problem." Islam reposted that. Topuria didn't stay silent either. He posted on his story, "No one disrespects me and walks away without consequences." His team hasn't done interviews but released a statement. They said Ilia acted on instinct. He was provoked and reacted.
You have 2 guys that are stars in the same area. It's Anderson Silva, George St. Pierre all over again. Who would have won? George St. Pierre, Anderson Silva. That debate still goes on. I look at that fight and I say Islam, but Ilia's the one that pushed for the fight. When we look back at this situation, the fact that Ilia entered the division, gave his belt up, tried to get the fight, I think it's going to create a real problem in the future when you're debating these two. And we got a source saying the same time that Islam knew he was going to go to 170 but didn't.
And now the focus shifts to what everyone really wants, a massive super fight between Ilia Topuria and Islam Makhachev. Topuria had a dominant run during International Fight Week. Right after that, Dana White said on the Full Send podcast that if Islam wins the welterweight belt, this fight could be next. Dana said, "If Islam wins the title, you immediately have a super fight with Ilia." Ever since then, the hype hasn't stopped. Fans from both sides are going at it online. Topuria's fans keep bringing up Islam's old fights, saying he plays it safe and coasts through. Islam's fans fire back, saying Topuria hasn't even fought a top wrestler. After that Nelk stream mess, it got really personal. MMA fans are now comparing it to the Khabib versus McGregor rivalry.
The fight would be Ilia versus Islam too. Well, the other thing is too is that Islam moves up, and obviously if Islam won the title, you know, you immediately have a super fight with him and Ilia. So.
Even the Nelk boys are getting slammed. Everyone knows they're loyal to Islam. Kyle and Steve went to Dagestan before UFC 284, made videos with Islam, trained with him, even joined his team for prayer. They straight up called him their favorite fighter. So when they brought Topuria onto a live stream and joked about Islam, that didn't go well. The moment turned physical. Joe Rogan reacted to that too. He said, "That's not how you talk to someone like Topuria. He's got that fire, he doesn't fake anything. If he swings, he means it. You talk trash about Islam to him, he's going to answer with his fists."
It was meant to be Islam, that was the big talk, but he moved up to welterweight. Do you believe he moved up to welterweight to avoid you, or because he has his own goals?
Because he has his own goals. This is what I think.
Do you still think that's a fight that should happen? You guys are both forging legacies in different weight divisions. Do you think that's a massive fight that should happen?
We'll see how he does in the welterweight division. If he wins the title, I win the title in the lightweight division. maybe I move up or he comes down to the lightweight division and we have the fight that everyone.
Topuria also clapped back at Arman Tsarukyan. Arman's been calling him out, especially after pulling out of UFC 311, where he was supposed to fight Islam. On a recent Nelk podcast, Topuria said, "Who gives a fuck about him? The guy is weird." He added, "He pulled out for no real reason. If you break your hand, leg, or something serious, fine. But come on, man." Topuria didn't stop there. He said Tsarukyan is irrelevant unless he beats someone like Paddy Pimblett or Justin Gaethje.
The Ilia fight in Islam is... He's only defended the belt once, and he's not that big of a star to just jump. He's not McGregor. You know what I mean? To just jump right up and fight for.
Right now, Topuria doesn't see anyone else as a threat. He's locked in on Islam. His whole team is getting ready for that fight. Meanwhile, Islam's team is quiet. No word on whether he'll take the fight or defend his lightweight title one more time. Dana hasn't announced anything yet, but he did say during a media scrum that everyone's asking about Islam versus Ilia. Ilia's rise and his undefeated streak make him look like the next UFC megastar. Islam, still undefeated since the early days, one of the most dominant champs we've ever seen.
Is there any headway on Islam, Makhachev, and Jack Della Maddalena if that title fight's going to get booked soon?
I'll let you know when we get it done.
And just kind of piggybacking off that, obviously with Ilia's win, you know, everyone's really excited to potentially see a future fight with him and Islam. I know that's the fight that people wanted. Ilia said earlier this week that if Islam loses that fight, he wouldn't give the opportunity for Islam to fight for his belt again. Is that something you'd bypass? Because that seems like such a big fight to make.
I mean, this is all talk.
Speculative.
You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly.
But I imagine that's a fight you guys would want to make at some point. I mean, just the match.
If this fight does happen, many fighters already have opinions on how it might play out. Khabib Nurmagomedov, Islam's close friend and coach, spoke about it on The Hustle Show. Surprisingly, he didn't say Ilia was Islam's biggest challenge. He said Jack Della Maddalena is.
He said, you know what? I want to go up to 155 pounds, fight the #1 contender, and then if he wins that, then he fights Islam. I think that's good, brother. I think he deserves.
I think if he move up and he beat somebody like Dustin Poirier or Charles Oliveira, he's next. Why not? Because there is nobody.
So you don't think right now Ilia deserves a shot at 155 pounds?
Without fighting in 155? Without, no, I don't agree. Because Islam already give chance, and people talk bad about like, oh, he fight 2 times with Volkanovski, but...
Khabib said, "I think Maddalena is the toughest fight of Islam's career, not Charles Oliveira, not even Ilia. Why? Size. Maddalena's bigger than Ilia, not just taller, thicker legs, a bigger frame, longer reach, more weight. And it's not just size." Khabib said Maddalena's boxing is just as good as Topuria's. His scrambling and grappling are underrated too.
What do you think would have happened if Ilia fought Islam this weekend?
Islam Makhachev.
He would have beaten him?
By TKO.
Oh, wow. Really?
Oh, I mean, that's a different level of fighters.
You think so? Wow.
You can't compare Ilia versus Islam.
Really? I have Ilia #1 pound for pound now.
Yes, because Islam not champion anymore.
Versus Topuria. I think I'm backing Islam, innit? I'm still gonna back Islam. Like I said, we've seen glimpses of his grappling. You haven't seen his grappling against anyone as good as Islam. Like, don't forget, Islam subbed Oliveira. So there is levels to what his abilities are. So I'd say, on the feet, Ilia will be problems for Islam because he cracks, innit?
Islam.
Khabib wasn't just praising Maddalena, he was also trying to cool down the hype around Topuria, and that's a big statement considering how much buzz this super fight is getting. Khabib said if he were preparing Islam for both men, he'd worry more about Maddalena's power, size, and tools. To him, it's not about hype or drama, it's about who really poses the biggest threat.
Should he be fighting next, Ilia Topuria, or should he get the rematch with Charles Oliveira?
Man, that's tough to say. Who's next in line right now for him? Do you know?
Could be Oliveira, could be Topuria if he goes up.
Yeah, but there's still guys, I think, at 45 for Topuria to fight. And I've never seen Topuria in person, but if he can make 145, dude, Islam's a big guy.
Big guy.
I think he's going to be a lot bigger than Topuria. But that being said, Topuria is an assassin, and I believe he can knock out anybody from 145 pounds to 170 pounds.
You think Islam?
What a champion essentially is supposed to look like. Make the calls, go out there, deliver on the calls. Then all of a sudden vacates the title. I mean, how do you feel? Because you said earlier, like, you were looking at him and going, there's holes here.
I think it's good for the sport, to be honest with you. I mean, him and Islam, I mean, people really want to see that. Everybody has their own style, and it seems like his style is just doing what he did. Honestly, I believe Islam is just a little too much for him, but I'm also a fan, you know, so I would have loved his...
Poirier is vacated, right? So that's the difference now, is Topuria is saying, like, I'm no longer at that division, like I'm now at lightweight.
With the confidence from knocking out Holloway and Volkanovski back to back, he thinks that, hey, I can knock these guys out, but the only fight he's had at 55, he's gotten dropped. by Jai Herbert, and then we've seen him get like out-muscled and out-wrestled by a couple guys at 45. I think Islam's just going to be way too...
Then there's Dustin Poirier. He gave his take during a recent interview. Poirier is actually a fan of Topuria, but he's honest. If Ilia moves up to 170 to fight Islam, that's a stretch, he said. He looks smaller. But Poirier also admitted Topuria has serious knockout power. His timing and technique are solid. He could end fights from featherweight to welterweight. Still, Dustin added, Topuria's never faced anyone with Islam's size or wrestling game. Poirier made one thing clear. Topuria can knock out anyone on the right night, but that doesn't mean we ignore the size and control Islam brings. Poirier believes Ilia should defend his current title a few times before jumping to a super fight at welterweight. He thinks the talent is there, but the path needs to be proven before taking that kind of leap. Another fighter who's been watching Ilia's rise closely is Diego Lopes. The Brazilian featherweight has gained a strong following thanks to his wild fights and finishes. He had serious praise for Ilia. He even said Ilia might be the pound-for-pound best fighter right now. Lopes remembered watching UFC 317 when Ilia beat Charles Oliveira, a fighter Lopes looks up to. He admitted it hurt to watch, but he wasn't shocked. He said, "We knew this could happen based on their styles. You have to put aside who you support and respect the technique Ilia showed." Lopes said he watched that fight closely with a friend. When Oliveira went deep on a takedown and still couldn't bring Ilia down, Lopes turned and said, "Okay, he's a problem." That moment shifted everything for him. He also said, apart from Ilia's UFC debut and one rough fight at 155 against a taller opponent, he's looked unstoppable. He called a fight between Ilia and Islam a true 50-50. Even though Lopes sees Ilia as the most dangerous fighter right now, he knows it would be an even battle. Then there's Alexander Volkanovski. He's one of the only people on earth who's fought both Islam and Ilia. He faced Islam in Perth and pushed him to the edge in 5 rounds, almost stealing the lightweight belt in the final moments. In the rematch, Islam knocked him out with a head kick, and Ilia, he finished Volk early with a devastating shot in the first round. On Daniel Cormier's podcast, Volkanovski shared his take on how these two match up. He said it straight, Ilia is dangerous. "The only way I see Islam losing is if someone catches him," he said. "Same thing with me. If the fight goes the full 25 minutes, Volk thinks Islam wins with control and pressure. But if it ends early, that's Ilia's territory." He called Ilia's boxing the sharpest he's seen and warned that those early rounds are where things could get scary for Islam. Volk also pointed out that Ilia's takedown defense could help him survive the early wrestling pressure, and if Ilia gets his shot in, the fight could end before Islam even has a chance to adjust. He compared it to his fight with Max Holloway. Everyone thought Max would drag Ilia into deep water, but Ilia shut it down with a quick finish. Volkanovski didn't make a pick, but he made one thing clear: Ilia has the tools to win. After winning at UFC 317, Ilia downplayed the chances of fighting Islam soon. He said talks with the UFC suggest the fight probably won't happen yet, but that's not stopping him from dreaming big. Ilia wants to make history. He wants to be the first fighter ever to win titles in 3 different weight classes. For him, a fight against Islam at 170 pounds could be the perfect opportunity. He told TMZ Sports, "I'd love to see Islam win the 170 title, and then the UFC lets me move up and take that 3rd belt." For that to happen, Islam needs to move up, win the welterweight title, and then face Ilia, who's currently the featherweight champ. If it happens, it won't be until 2026 or later, but even now, the idea is already sparking major interest among fighters and fans. Demetrius Johnson, one of the most skilled fighters in MMA history, also shared his view. Speaking to Submission Radio, Johnson backed Islam. "I think it'd be Islam," he said. "I think he'd approach it differently. It's hard." He didn't go into a lot of detail, but he hinted that Islam's fight IQ, experience, and smart approach would make the difference. Then there's Belal Muhammad. He didn't hold back. He's trained with Islam, so it's no surprise he's confident. "No, I don't think Topuria is a challenge," Belal said. "I think Islam finishes him in the 2nd round." He added, "I see Islam dominating all these guys." For Belal, it's about the Dagestani style, constant pressure, top control, neutralizing everything on the ground, and he doesn't think Ilia can stop that. Finally, Georges St-Pierre, GSP, gave a more technical view. He didn't choose a winner outright, but broke down how both could win. He said Islam's clearest path is the ground. If Islam can get Ilia down and hold him, he can control the fight with ground and pound. But GSP also warned that if Topuria times it right and lands clean, that could be the end. If Topuria touches you, it's over. Everything he touches goes down. That's why this fight is so interesting. Most people lean toward Islam because of his control, experience, and wrestling, but no one can ignore Ilia's power. That's the X factor. One clean shot and everything changes. This rivalry has gone far beyond just a potential fight. It's become emotional, heated, personal. Whether it happens in 2025 or 2026, one thing is clear: The MMA world is watching, and if this clash ever becomes real, it might just be one of the biggest fights in UFC history. What do you think? Share your thoughts and stay tuned for more.